Alrighty. Usually I got my other glasses on. Perhaps I'll just delete this. So this came from the IRS. So let's call the IRS. Let's give them a little ringy dingy. What do you say? A little ringy dingy. Notice all the lights are off, so I don't need sunglasses. Calling the IRS because they sent me a letter, said that we received a request for copies of the forms listed above, 990, 990T. Oh, wait.
Phone assistance is not available at this time. Normal operations will resume as soon as possible. You may continue to use our self-service tools or visit the IRS website at www.irs.gov for the latest information. We apologize for any inconvenience. Bienvenido al servicio de
Oh, for those of you that speak Spanish.
No tenemos asistencia telefónica en vivo en este momento.
They don't have live telephone service at the moment because ain't nobody at the IRS at the moment. Remember when Trump told you that you don't have to turn in your tax forms till July? Well, these guys aren't catching up.
www.irs.gov/español para ver la información más actualizada. Nos disculpamos por cualquier inconveniente.
They're sorry for any inconvenience. And they hung up on me. All right, there you go. Okay, so this is, see what I did is I sent this form, and they're asking me to resend it. I sent this form. If you look carefully. Let's see here. Do I have the, yeah, I'm gonna, geez, this one's semi-filled out. But see, who I'm looking for is, hey, Judiciary Courts of the State of Hawaii, are you guys a tax-exempt government entity? Well, according to the IRS, no, they're not. They have no record of it, but they want me to resend the form because I'm going to ask for specific forms this time, 990, 990T, 990PF, and a form I've never heard of before, 5227, for the tax years 17, 18, and 19. We received a request for copies of the forms listed. The request for copies is incomplete. Request must include organization's name. Well, what's that say right there? Judiciary Courts of the State of Hawaii. Let's see here. Taxpayer identification number. So see, I was going to call them up and say, where can I go to get the taxpayer identification number? Because that's their TIN. They're not being cooperative. You'd think that they just give it to me, but they don't want to give me their taxpayer identification number. Specific form. What the fuck does that mean? What specific form? I want 999. See, I need to talk to a human. Tax years of periods. I put the tax years of periods in there, you monkeys. Type of request. What do you mean by that? Type of form, if applicable. See, and this is now, okay, understand this. When you call them and you're pissed off and you're in, you're trying to get out of paying your taxes that you feel you don't owe, or maybe they've denied you an exemption or whatever the fuck it is. You get into an adversarial relationship. All right, here they're in we're trying to help you mode, right? We want to get them into the help you understand mode, help you figure out what's going on. I'm trying to help them and they're trying to help me. So what I'm trying to do is give them all the information they want, but their information is not clear to me. So I'm asking questions. See, and while I got them on the phone, I can ask them so like, oh, when it comes to these EINs and TINs, where can I write to get information? So that I can send in and get my EIN. What's the address? Who do I talk to, etc. Do you have a supervisor I can talk to if you don't know, etc. Right? And they're in help mode, and they'll try and help you. They'll try and get you the information you need. So I had a list of questions that I was going to ask ahead of time, and I had paper and pencil and everything all ready to write things down. Nobody's there. That's awesome. Anyway, we're playing Passover. Do you see everybody's going into Passover mode? We're going to go into Passover mode for 2 weeks. You got to stay indoors. I don't think you need to put any blood over your door or anything, but it's close. Anyway, yeah, there you go. This right here exactly is they're trying to. If you understood what you're doing and you're not liable for the tax. And here the other thing, they put my wrong name on this, so I have to correct that. But it's interesting because I've never seen a form. Let me cover this part over here. That was signed in the back. ever. Never. I've been dealing with the IRS. I fought with the IRS. I never once saw a form. They always send you forms like this that are just one-sided, one-sided, one-sided. And this form is got a, and I look at this, and it is not a wet signature. It's just a print, but crystal stock. A two word, right? Not crystal art, and not, I mean, anyway, not a Mr., not anything. Anyway, department manager. So I will be asking for a department manager, and I'll be giving them this little code here, which will tell them that I actually got a letter from them. What is this all about? Well, what's this all about is the fact that, just think about it. If the judiciary courts of the state of Hawaii are not tax-exempt government entities, that has some rather large ramifications, doesn't it? Again, you can't use this form. It's hearsay. I'm just some guy on the internet. You have to go get your own form. The form that you want to send in is this form right here. It's just look it up. And then on this form, I'll tell you more because I have other forms that I'm going to be turning in. And let's see here. The forms are 3949A, and you can look up all these things. They're all free on the internet. All you got to do is download them. So like I said, getting into the forms is above my pay grade. But so here's what I'm going to tell you is when you download the forms, they all come with instructions. Read the damn instructions, and then ask questions. Right? I have questions, so I was going to ask, but I can't ask because they're not there. This is beyond awesome. Anyway, 3949A, 13. Okay, that's one form. 3949A. The other form is 13909, and the other one is 211. I know what those forms are. And by the way, the 3949A and the 13909, those are going to be information forms that you're going to give the Secret Service with regard to them doing some bond fraud. And then 211 is your whistleblower form where you say, hey, I want 10% of whatever you guys get. And then down here, it has all kind of fun stuff. See, and I checked all the right boxes as far as I was concerned, but so I'm not sending the thing back in until, see, I filled out all the dates that I wanted, and yet they still say, and they even have it on the damn form, that tax period, right? So where'd they get those dates? Well, from me. So why are they saying that tax years or periods is incomplete? It must include the type of request, etc. So I'm going to call them back and just say, all right, what do I have to do? I mean, what do I have to do? What forms do I need and how to fill them out so that you'll accept them? Now, you can also send, and this is another thing you can do. This is not legal advice. This is not, all right. And again, don't do stuff that's going to get you put in jail. Or just stupid stuff, but you can go down to the courts itself, whatever court you're in. I don't care if it's traffic court, whatever. Find out on Dun and Bradstreet and so forth what their listing is, right? So for Hawaii, like even family court, all the other courts, they all come under, they're all branches. It's a bank, my friends, of the judicial courts of the state of Hawaii. Let me read that correctly, make sure I'm saying it right. The judiciary courts of the state of Hawaii, in all caps. That is a corporation. All right. So that corporation is supposed to be tax exempt and de jure government entity, or a tax exempt. Well, I said it right the first time. A tax exempt government entity. It's not. It is a for-profit corporation that doesn't pay their taxes and taps your bonds without you knowing about it, and does all kinds of stuff because you got bonds. You got bonds. And see, what they're doing is they're building a case against you. And because they're building a case, they take out construction bonds and they modify those bonds with form, now I can't remember, WF30 or something like that, 14. I'm not going to say it because I don't have the right names. I have them written down, though, on other pieces of paper. But the idea is you build your case against them, and then you get them for fraud. You get them for every document that they have is fraudulent conveyance of language, first off. So you use their own documents against them. And you can, and again, they're not afraid of you, peon. They're not afraid of you, slave. They're not afraid of me. They're not afraid of me at all. They're afraid of the UPU. They're afraid of these guys. This is Honey Badger right here. See that? See this right here? Right? There's your Honey Badger right there. Honey Badger don't give a fuck if you are Al Capone, if you are a poor mom of four, if you are a senator. My Honey Badger, they don't give a fuck, right? You're a judge or a prosecutor or whoever. Honey Badger does not give a fuck, right? So what you want to do is sick Honey Badger on them, right? Simple as that. People say, "Oh, these guys aren't your friend," right? And they're mostly right, but it's like fire, basically, right? Fire can cook your food or it can burn your house down. So what you want to do here is get them to cook your food, get them to be helpful, get them to give you the information. And I was gonna record the call and so forth for my own, not using live, but so I can just remember it and know what happened there. But they're not there. Okay. Anyway, so here's, like I said, not legal advice, but you can take an affidavit, because this is an actual form, right? This is an actual form that you can fill out and ask, because they have forms. They have forms for everything. Go watch Brazil. They have forms for everything. But you can go and write an affidavit asking for 990, 990T, 990PF, and now I got to go look up what 5227 is. Just got this, by the way. And then go and put everything that this thing asks for on that affidavit, and then send it into your judiciary court, the judiciary courts of the state of Hawaii. I'm going to send them a letter that says, "Hey, I got this," and I'm going to ask at least for the tax identification number. Hey, I need your TIN, right? And if you don't give it to me, these guys are going to come asking for it. Right? Simple as that. So the idea is you need to get your forms correct, and then so then you send and so you're going to do 3-step method. Oh, I hate to erase this because it's pretty, but I do it 100 times a day. So you're going to do 3-step method. So first, you're going to send them a document, an affidavit, and you are the affiant that asks for specific information, 990, which is your right to get. Form 990 EIN or TIN, tax identification number, right? W9 is a good form to ask for, etc. Anyway, you ask for these, right? So anyway, and all the information that is on this thing, right? Okay, so then you send the affidavit. You send this affidavit not to the IRS, but to whatever agency you're dealing with. Okay, so and it's just a simple thing. Hey, I require this information, blah, blah, blah. Oh, and then the other things you're going to want is their license numbers, their bond number, and the name of the insurance company that issues their bonds. What is the surety company that issues the bonds for them, right? That gives them securities. They got to be bonded. They got to be licensed. They got to be bonded, right? That's essentially. It's not. You're not asking for their law license. You're just asking for their office license. Let's make this clear. So here, I'll put W9 over here. I'll put in here with forms, and you're looking for their office. Right? They're officers of the court. So they have to have an office, and if they have an office, they have to have a license to be in that office, because it's otherwise it would be illegal. It's just like impersonating a police officer. Oh, that's illegal. You're right, because you don't. That's an office, and you don't have a license to be a police officer. So impersonating one is naughty. Also, identity theft, again, naughty. Right, taking somebody else's number, their social security number, and using it as your own. Trying, that's naughty. Anyway, they also have bonds in case they screw up. They're indemnified. In case they cause you harm inadvertently or whatever. Anyway, they're bonded, right? So like the teller at the bank is bonded because they deal with money all the time. You're damn sure they got bonds, right? So now let's say they steal money from the bank. Okay, the bank is if the bank can prove that employee stole money out of the drawers or was embezzling or maybe tipping out $100 or something, or just not doing the books right, and they can prove it, and over time that employee took however much money it was. Well, the employee is bonded, and they can tap the bond to get it back because the employee themselves might have already spent the money, right? So they have to have a bond. Now, if the bank taps their bond, that person will never be a teller again, right? Because you don't tap the bond unless they've done something wrong, right? Okay, it's the same thing with judges and prosecutors and anybody in the courts, bailies, bailiffs, sheriffs, any of them. You tap their bonds and they'll never work again in that capacity. So they don't like it if you try to tap their bonds. So they do everything they can to keep the information away from you, right? And the fact that they even have bonds. Okay, so understand, what are they doing? It's a construction bond and then there's a payment bond, there's a performance bond. Anyway, there's various bonds that they modify because what they've done without your knowledge is bill you for services rendered, which is judgments, right? They literally bill you for putting you in jail. They literally bill you for saying that you owe them $200 because you were driving without a license or you went through that stop sign or whatever it was. In my case, they're trying to build a truancy case, right? Because I'm not sending my son to the public school anymore. And oddly enough, they're all closed now anyway. But the idea is that so they were building a case, and so in order to build a case, they need construction bonds. Isn't it cute how they use the words? All right. So anyway, step one is you ask for a bunch of information from them, which by law they have to give you. Right? They cannot. The sunshine laws. See, I was doing this method a different way with IRS. I do not recommend it. Which was the Freedom of Information Act, and through the Freedom of Information Act, I asked for my all the information that the IRS had on me, and to make sure it was correct. And see, they don't have prima facie evidence about me. I do. You do, right? You know about you. They don't know about you. So they can call you whatever they want, and they can name you a taxpayer, and they can name you all these other things. But as Abraham Lincoln said, calling a dog's tail a leg doesn't make a dog's tail a leg. As simple as that. All right. So, and I was asking, what's my individual master file say, and so forth. And sure enough, they had changed it. And then I was able to see how they changed. Anyway, and I got them to change it back using the Freedom. Okay, this is not the way to go. Pete Hendrickson gave you a much easier, better, faster, more way to go about dealing with the IRS. So look up Lost Horizons. You can see the proof in the pudding of millions and millions of dollars of people that have gotten tax back because they didn't owe the damn tax, and they can prove they don't owe the tax using the IRS's own forms. All right. I don't know what forms to get from the courts. So it's, again, back to the affidavit method. I asked for all this information that they should be giving me because I'm going to tap these bonds. And they have them. They may or may not want to give them to me, but they definitely have them. They have this. They don't have this. They don't have a Form 990. They don't. As simple as that. They are not a tax-exempt government entity. So they can't provide this information. Anyway, but you, in your affidavit, you just list this, and this, and then you might put a short paragraph as to why, but you don't even have to do that. You just require the information, right? You can put the name of the person and do like a questionnaire form type. I've seen those. But basically what you're doing, however you want to format it, however you want to do it, I'm not going to tell you how, is you're asking for very specific information that they should have no problem giving to you in your state. Every state has sunshine laws or Freedom of Information Act request or, right? Okay. They can't, right? You walk in a courtroom, you don't even know who these people are. The average person doesn't, who is that guy that's talking to you and charging you and reading things into the court, into the record? Who the fuck are you? Right? You seem to know who I am. Who are you? Right? Who is the judge? Right? Who is the presiding judge? What's the name? Where's your license number? What's your bond number? All this stuff. Right? Bailiff, clerk, especially the clerk. The clerk is the puppet master. All right. So there's in the courtroom that I'm in, there's 4 people, and I want all the information on those 4 people. Fair is fair. They're supposed to have all the information on me. All right. So then you send them out. You don't argue. The other thing, you don't argue, and if they charge you with anything, you agree. Just agree. I've been deflating this poor person over and over again because every time she tries to start a controversy, I just agree with her. All right. So affidavit. You give them 10 as gentlemen, 21 or 30, however much you want, and depending, you should know a little bit about contract law for what the things is. But if you can be generous with your time, 30 days. If you're pressed for time, 10 days. But generally for you, as a rule, anything you get, you should respond to in 10 days, right? Just as a rule. And now there's other stuff where this doesn't apply to you and me, but there's stuff that needs to be done in 3 and 5 days also. Like they need to clear certain documents in 3 days, right? They can't hold checks for 20 days or 21 days. Then there's other documents that you give them. There's things that they have to clear it in 5 days, right? They've got 5 days to handle it. All right, because that's the law. Anyway, all right. So then the next thing you're going to do is an affidavit of dishonor. All right, what you say is, okay, and these all have to be notarized, signature, thumbprint, whole 9 yards. Find out about the proper way to set up an affidavit. I was amazed that 99% of my friends had no idea what a freaking affidavit was. Anyway, so first affidavit, this is notarized. Okay, then you say, hey, and you can do notarial protest method where the actual notary does it, but most notaries are chicken shit, and your UPS guy or whoever it is that you get your notaries from in most commercial situations have no clue, or they're scared to do this. You should also get a disclosure agreement with your affidavit, affidavit maker. So what was the thought in my mind? With your notary, the guy that has the seal and the stamp and so forth, so that he can say, "Hey, I signed this non-disclosure with him. I can't discuss his business. Right? I'm bound." Right? And they all honor contracts. Anyway, so this is a notice of dishonor. With opportunity to cure, right? You have to give them an opportunity to cure it. You can't just say you're in dishonor. All right, so that is 10 days. right? You have 10 days to cure this. I already gave you 10, 21, 30 days, whatever it is you gave them. You did not respond to me. You did not give me this information. And if you're smart, you'll put some things in the affidavit that should stand in law, like statements that are true, that are facts. And if they're unrebutted, they stand at law. All right. So first is the affidavit. Second is the affidavit of dishonor with the opportunity to cure. And then after 10 days, you get them. You get your notary to issue a verified. We got to put the VR there because it's got the notary signature on it, and it should be the same notary that does this, by the way. Same guy, same person each time. Verified affidavit of default. Those are the three things. The affidavit that you first send, the affidavit of dishonor with opportunity to cure, and the 10-day verification, right? Verified affidavit of default. Okay, now you can take that to another court and get it perfected. When I was fooling around with the IRS, what I was doing was I was making statements in my affidavit. They didn't answer them, and after 30 days, they become right. And then I would send them the affidavit of default, and then the statements and facts that I put in there. Hey, I'm not a U.S. citizen. Hey, I'm not within. Hey, I'm not blah blah. They didn't rebut it, right? And then also, hey, I don't owe this tax. Hey, my form, and I'll give you this. On your individual master file, it should say MFR-01. Right? And MFR-01 on your individual master file says that code reads not required to make or send a tax return. Okay, that's what you're looking for. But anyway, and mine reads that now. So now I'm going to these guys via these documents, and I'm looking for the judiciary courts of the state of Hawaii. And that's all the courts. Like I said, that's all the courts. That's the name of the parent company, as it were, in the state of Hawaii. All the family courts, the traffic courts, everybody is the judiciary. Underneath is a branch of the judiciary courts of the state of Hawaii. Well, if they're not a de jure court, but they're pretending to be, and they try to trick you into thinking that they were, oh, they're naughty. They're very, very naughty. So the idea is that you use this information against them, right? And again, and the idea is that it works both ways in the court of law. Anything they say in the court of law can be used against them too. And I got them just lying out their ass. It's awesome. Anyway, the point is, and here I have my documents. I'm not even gonna bother actually, but the idea is the forms that you need. All right, so take a screenshot, or you can write this stuff down. Let's write down these forms again. And the form that you want the most, and the one that started all this for me, was 4506A. Why is it suddenly I don't have a pen that writes nicely? Ooh, much better. 4506A. And then on the 4506A, you are going to mention the fact that you intend to file further forms, which is 3949A. Like I said, these are all on the internet. You can get them on the IRS website to download, free to download. 909, and you just print them off with your printer. Let's see here, and then form 211. And then there's another form that I don't know about. See, do you ever watch Brazil? They just made fun of the fact that it's just documents and forms. And the forms that you're looking for that show that, okay, so you're not filing these forms, right? You're going to fill out this form and these forms. You're asking for their forms over here. The 990 is them showing that they're a tax-exempt government entity. The 990T I have not seen. Like I said, all I asked for was 990. So 990T, they're obviously asking me. See, because you guys don't understand what's happening. Most of you, I swear to God, don't get. Well, actually, on this page, maybe you guys get it, but it's happening. The authoritarians are taking over. The plan is coming to fruition. This is 5227. I have no idea what this form is because until today, I'd never heard of it. It just happens to be on this document that the IRS sent me. So I'm going to go look it up. I'm going to look up all these forms and I'm going to read their instructions and go see what they're about. But see, what I just got done talking about with that three-step affidavit method. This is the form I was looking for. Right? Where's your 990? Where's your form that shows me that you're a tax exempt government entity? They're not. They're not. They're private corporations. Your police, private corporations. They walk up to your car. They're asking you to contract. Hey, want a contract? And you sign it. You go, yeah, sure, I'll contract. Right? That's what you want to do. I mean, I'm not giving you legal advice, but and because there's other places that you can go to get to this, and you can get yourself in all manner of trouble if you try to get cutesy and smart and you don't know what the fuck you're doing when it comes to dealing with these guys, right? These officers. But you might want to write on there no contract and not sign it, and write sui juris and maybe put the UCC 1308 stamp if you have it on there. It just says, I don't want to contract with you, right? But then you'd be able to, when you get to court, you got to be able to stand on your square. Now, a lot of times, if there's another method, and I hesitate to mention it, but I'm going to talk about it briefly, there you go. Beautiful. See, they know how to do it, right? And I did. I just contracted with the IRS when I opened this thing. See, and you can tell that there's no stamp on this. Anyway, and this came from our, and I'm sad that I ripped this thing the wrong way, but this is official business penalty for private use, $300. Does it have a return address on this thing? Why, no, it doesn't have a return address on the envelope itself. It had a return address. This is all important. It had a return address here. This is what showed through. So Ogden, Utah, and see, all it is that digit right there. They don't give you the street and all the name and all the building that they're in, because they don't want you to know where the building that they're in. They don't want you to know the room, the door that they're behind. So all they do is they give you this number right here. And see, that number right there is more than enough to get an envelope from one place to another, right? So when you put all the other stuff on your envelopes, when you address them and so forth, this is what they want. This is the district that you're in, the UT, right? This is the district that I'm writing to. This is considered to be, whether it's a physical place in Utah, or whether it's in that 10 square miles we call Washington, D.C., the District of Columbia's, I couldn't tell you. Probably it's a building that's actually in Utah. But this makes it so that code right there makes it so that they're considered to be a district inside the 10 square miles that is the District of Columbia. Do you get it? All right, so this is what was showing, and it wasn't on the envelope. And again, there's no stamp on this envelope. All right, so you can take an envelope like this, being clever, get one of those registered mail stamps, the registered things, the red sticker, and get a stamp. Put a document, such as a license, your driver license, or other things, and make a claim. Claim that document. Now it's yours. Now it's not theirs. And you put it in there, and you have it addressed to the person that's on here, or you can put another address. You can put both, and I wouldn't put the window over here. I put it over here. And anyway, there's a way to do it. I wouldn't use this kind of envelope. I would use I don't have one. I would use an envelope that that is big enough like this. Okay, and then on the envelope, you will have a window like this, and you will have it mailed there with your registered mail. Actually, you should probably go sideways like this, right? And then on the back, you can do your own thing later. But you put that in there. It has a claim. It's addressed to you. And nobody else can open mail that's addressed to you. And you make the claim. You make it a registered claim on that document. That's a non-UCC method for claiming your documents, for claiming your driver's license, for claiming other stuff. Now, if you don't know what the hell I'm talking about, do more research and find out, because don't just go half-assed and try and do this, right? There's a certain stamp you got to use. There's a way to put there's information that you need to put on there to make this thing work. But the idea is that if you put it in an envelope and it's got the postmark on there, they can't open it. Right? So if you hand it to the police officer, he's going to have a hard time with that. And he'll know right there. Enough people have done this that they know. And they'll probably say, have a nice day and slow down, or whatever it is that you did. But the idea is that there's a way to claim all the stuff that they gave you. See, now here's the thing. Also, you can do that with passports. You can do that with all manner of documents. And you claim them. And then there's going to be a place that you send those claims. But the idea is that, and who's claiming them? That's the other thing. You better claim them in the right name, right? You better not claim them in your slave name, dorks. You don't, I mean, like, it took me a while. See, here's the thing. The average person doesn't understand that they're a slave. That is the greatest part of this whole thing. And the average person will not admit that they're a slave, right? The average person just can't admit it. They can't, we're the freest people. We're Americans. We're yay, right? Freedom and liberty and stuff like that. No, civil liberties. Civil liberties. It's a big difference between inalienable rights and civil liberties. The Hawaiians, I learned a lot from the Hawaiians here, because guess what? The Hawaiians were here before the cloak of United States was put on them. And they didn't want the cloak of the United States. They didn't want to be over it. They wanted to stand over the United States. They didn't want the United States standing over them. But anyway, it's interesting here. But the idea is that in Article, 6 of the Constitution of the United States, not 4, it says all the treaties and all the everything that we had in it that were in effect before this document took effect, basically, I'm paraphrasing, are still in effect. Same thing with that other one, 4, right? So all the treaties that were in effect and all the rights and stuff that you had before there was a United States of America or a United States, which came after, right? There's 2 of them. People have finally figured out there's a United States of America, and then there's just the United States Corporation, right? And the United States Corporation stands over it. So what you want to do is get back here, and what they've got you is in here, right? They've got you in the little ship, right? They've got you. There's a big ship. This is a big ship, and then they got a little ship, and they got everybody in this ship. This is the U.S. person. U.S. persons are on board the U.S. citizen ship. And I know you think it's cutesy, but it's not. It's all maritime. It's all freaking maritime. So you are U.S. persons. You are a U.S. citizen on this ship. This is the de jure. This is the thing that we started off with. This is the USA, right? Now, notice the A missing, right? This is the United States of America. You want to be an American. You want American citizenship. You want to be on this ship, not on this ship, right? And in fact, what you want to do is take your remedy, go over here on the land, get your treasure, take it back over here. Well, actually, other way around, wrong way to do it. Take it back over here, and then take it back and let them know that you need to dig up your treasures. You need to go watch the Pirates of the Caribbean. There's when you have that dead man's account that has the 3 digits, right, and then dash, and then 2 digits, and then dash, and then 4 more digits. That's your brand. That's your social security number. That's your SSN. That's this, and this thing has 3 different things to it. I got all kinds of notes about this, but there, one of them is a dead man's account. One of them is a Sedicate trust. One of them, that accesses several things. So what you want to do is collapse this, but you want to get all the treasures that are under here, right? And that's the wrong symbol to use for treasures, but anyway, that's the treasures that are under here. You want to claim all of this stuff, right? Put it here, and then, actually put it here on the land. And where you're going to do is you got 2 places on the land to go, is Kansas and Philadelphia, depending on what side of the land you're on. If you're on this side of the Mississippi, it's Kansas, and right? So you want to take your stuff and deposit it in there. Now they're going to go and you need to give it to the guys that can take your dead man's assets and deposit it into their treasury. And then once you put stuff in their treasury, then you can take stuff out of the treasury. And the way it works, if you're wealthy and you became a U.S. person and you're a U.S. citizen and you had all kinds of, you've got mortgages and you've got all kind of documents and titles and stuff and cars and stuff like that you can deposit, that you can claim and deposit, as well as, and that comes from another one of these branches, not the branch I was just talking about. You can put it in there, and then you'll have access to it. Obviously, they'll give you a card that will allow you to access public debts because you put money in the treasury. Now, the cool thing is, what if you don't have much to put in? Doesn't matter. As long as you give everything that you have, all your licenses and bonds and everything. And see, the thing is, you don't know you have them for the most part. So you have to go figure out, and there's a lot of reading to do. You got to figure out what bonds you have. You got to figure out, how to claim them. You got to figure out what documents have attachments to them. There's all manner of adhesion going on. See, because the bottom line in all of this, and this wasn't a very good explanation, but at least it's I said, there's others that have a much better understanding than I do. But the idea is, what you want to do is figure out all the different bonds that you have, and because you have adhesion contracts. So when it comes to your license, there's a bond attached to your license. When it comes to your bank accounts, there's bonds attached to that, insurance and so forth. And it's a pass-through account. It's not your account. You're an authorized representative. It's not. You don't own it. You're not an owner of your. I mean, look on your check when on the bottom. Use the magnifying glass. It says authorized representative. It doesn't say owner of the account because you don't own that account. You're just authorized to represent it, right? Like I said, it gets tricky, but the bottom line is it's fraud, 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 fraud. You have been deceived. You would never, your mom would never have signed you over to the bankers. She never would have pledged you over to the bankers if she knew that she was pledging you over to the bankers, right? You would never have pledged your kids over to the banker, or excuse me, your children over to the bankers, your sons and daughters. They're not even children. Your sons and daughters over to the bankers if you had known that that's what the fuck you were doing. You would never have gotten some of these accounts if you had known what you were doing, right? You didn't know that you were supposed to claim your thing after 7 years for your children or for yourself. So you're considered dead and lost at sea. So they take over the trust for you. So now you have to have an estate trust. It's an estate trust. You're dead. Right? And you have to get an estate trust EIN. And then you have to let them know, I'm not dead after all. And then you have to have a living trust. And then you get an in legis. And then you have to have a name for that living trust. And that name is not you. That's the name you put in front of you. That's the Alicia Keys. That's a 2-letter name. No one comes into the Father except through the Christ. So you have 2 names. One, right? You do not have 3 names, right? And all of you, like almost everybody I know has 3 names, right? And that surname, that's the thing that creepeth. That's the thing. That's the go watch War Castles and just watch it and then watch it again. But the idea is, and if you're on my channel, it's all there. Is go over to playlist, click playlists, and go find the one that says War Castles. There's War Castles 1 and there's War Castles 2. Go find the one that Patrick Devine. Go find the one that says Slave No More. And there's a shit ton of video to watch. This is not happening next Friday. If you're new to this, or even if you're not new to this, you're still looking at months and months of study. And don't get overwhelmed. Just one bite at a time. Just do the things that you can do. Right? I've rescinded my voter registration. I've done this. I've got this. I've started writing letters to various organizations and starting to let them know, hi, I figured this shit out. And I might need some help. And they want to help you. Okay, but anyway, you have been deceived. It is fraud. There is no question, right? So you can do all manner of fun stuff once you start to realize that you've been deceived and defrauded, and you start correcting this thing. What you'll find out, that 2-person name, George Bush, Thomas Jefferson, George Washington, they all got 2 names. Right? George Bush Sr. and George Bush Jr., they're still just George Bush. You don't see them being referred to as George W. Bush or George, right? I mean, you don't, because it's 2 names. All right. So those 2 names need to make some claims on the forms that I was just talking about and on the documents that I was talking about. But you got to know your 2 names thing, right? And then when you get your passport, it's going to have 2 names on it, not 3, right? And it's not going to be blue. All right. What else that I want to talk about? I think I'm done. But the idea is it's deception. It's all, they got you to consent through deception, 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 deception. They tricked you, they tricked you, they tricked you. And nobody likes to admit that they got tricked. But again, when it came to me, I told them I was a U.S. person over and over again. Well, how then I'm not a U.S. person? Then if you sign all these documents that say you're a U.S. person, then you got to go back and fix those documents. You have signed all manner of adhesion contracts that make them presume that, and you see, you got to rebut all of the presumptions. Because presumptions, see, there's assumptions. Assumptions is just based on nothing. You just assumed, right? Presumptions is based on some facts, right? That they made presumptions based on some facts. Fact, you've got a passport. Fact, you've got a driver's license. Fact, you've got a bank account. Fact, you've got a, right? All right. So you need to get rid of all these things, right? What am I going to do without a bank? You're going to get a different bank account. Your bank account right now is a pass-through account to the Sedequé Trust. Right? Well, what you got to do now is make it so that you don't have a bank account, that you got to collapse those bonds, and you got to set up another bank account with another EIN under that 2-person name, right? That you're not authorized to represent, that you fucking own. right? So now you got to understand some trust law. And the trust law works very simply. There's the trustees, there is the grantor, and then there's the beneficiary. You can be both of these. You cannot be this and this. You cannot be a trustee and a beneficiary. You can't. You're not allowed. That's the rules. That's the law. That's the organic law from going back forever. You cannot be a trustee and a beneficiary. You just can't. All right. So what you want to be is the originator or the grantor of the trust. And over here is the beneficiary. Now you can set up a trust for your own benefit and you can own it. And that trust can have account numbers and bank account numbers and you can make deposits and you own it. You're not just the authorized representative. You own the fucking thing. And you are authorized to sign on that account because you're the owner. Right now, you're authorized to sign on that account because basically you're a trustee and you're an authorized representative, but you don't own the fucking thing. All right. So now if you try to do some of the things that a lot of the patriots and a lot of the others that I've seen on YouTube and other places tell you about trying to tap the bonds or try to get the money out of here and, write checks or do accepted for value method over here and you're in the trustee position, oh, you're going to jail. You're just, fuck you, you're going to jail. It's as simple as that. If you're in the trustee position and you try to tap the beneficiary's funds, you're going to jail, right? Even if that beneficiary is technically you, right? But it's not you. It's your all caps corporation, right? Okay, so this stuff isn't hard to understand. So what you want to do is you want to get yourself out of this position and you want to get yourself in that position. You want to say, and it tells you there's all manner of law and stuff like that, the infant, that you are the fucking originator and you are the grantor, you are the one that creates the accounts and so forth. But what they do is they move you into the trustee position through fraud and trickery and deceit. So what you want to do is get back into the originator. So you're going to have to collapse all these old things and open up new ones. So there is fucking paperwork to be done. Simple as that. And there ain't no way out of it. You cannot just with your mouth say, I don't consent, or that I'm doing this, or that I'm a free man, or that I'm a this, or I'm a U.S. person, or I'm a Title IV, Article 4 citizen of the old republic, whatever. Okay, fine. Prove it. You got to have documents. You got to have paperwork. Simple as that. No way out. Okay. So sorry if you don't like paperwork, like me. I fucking hate paperwork. I got out of a business completely because I just fucking hated the paperwork. Right? Guess what? There's a crap ton of paperwork, but this time it comes with all manner of benefit once you get the paperwork done. So anyway, because you are the beneficiary and your birthright is tremendous. You don't even know what it is. So you need to be able to claim that birthright and set up trusts that have bonds and that you can tap the Treasury with the Department of the Treasury. Mnuchin will pay bills for you from the de jure Treasury of the United States, the Republic. All this money has been, it's a long story. You ain't getting nothing for free, right? Your labor, you need to claim your labor. Your labor is what sets this thing up. I saw this guy talking about how the banks are the power and the banks are the energy. No, we are we are the Duracells. We are where they, our signature, our movement, our creativity, our commercial energy. That's how this whole fucking thing works, off of us. And it's not them. It's not their banks. It's certainly not their paper money. It's certainly not the Federal Reserve. It's certainly not the private banks, right? You need to become your own private banker and you need to become your own private postmaster. You have that authority. You're allowed. You have, they have to give you remedies. They don't have to tell you what the remedies are, but they have to give you remedies. And the boss is about to change here in the United States. The boss is changing. But meet the new boss, same as the old boss, pretty much. It's the same bird. It's the same coin. It's just, instead of these guys, it's these guys. But at the end of the day, it's the same coin, right? Satanic pedophiles or the Alliance, same coin. Same guys. They look at you the same way. So these guys say, oh, okay, now if you don't want to be part of this, all right, well, then we give you a remedy, but you got to take the remedy. We're not showing you how. We're certainly not doing it for you. But we'll give you this remedy, but you have to know how to take it. Right? So the idea is if you don't know how to take the remedy and you don't know what paperwork, then they make it as fucking complicated as possible. Make no mistake, write down the fucking different color ink and all kind of shit and stamps and blah, blah, blah. I mean, there's all kind of stuff that you got to know. And you can learn it. Just like you went through high school and they taught you bullshit. And if you can remember all the damn names of the teams and the scores and the dates and how many fucking yards the guy ran and all that. Okay. If you can fucking do that, you can easily do this. This is easier than that. If you can remember baseball stats or basketball stats or football stats, right? Or for others of you, like I have a couple of friends, they're not into sports, they're women, and they're totally into the movies, and they know movie producers, and they know the names of the movie producers, and they know when the film was shot, and they know all about all kind of just complete bullshit that is information that they don't need to know. In my personal case, I knew way too much about D&D and Lord of the Rings and fantasy role playing and all the different, AD&D, Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. I knew the rule books and so on and so forth. I used to be a dungeon master when I was younger, when I was in my 20s and so forth. I actually got paid to be a dungeon master at my high school. So what I should have been learning is this. What I should have been learning is what forms to fill out to set myself free. What I should have been learning is trust law. What I should have been learning is fucking grammar. Right. Well, actually, they did teach. What I should have been learning is Latin and French and language and grammar and the fact that it's grammar fair and the fact and then I should have been learning what's in our 50 U.S. titles. I mean, you don't have to memorize all of them, but you should know, what Title 26 is about, what Title 27 is about, what Title 5 is about, what's in Title 42, what's in Title 28. Right. You should know some of this stuff, and it takes some reading. It might take, like I said, for some of you, it will take years. Okay, that should have been part of your education coming up when you were doing your 3-7s, right? When you did your first 7 years, where they were teaching you how to actually work a pencil and read and write and so forth, and then your next 7 years, and then your final 7 years from 14 to 21 should have been learning all of this stuff, right? Because it's a crap ton of stuff to know, but it's easy. It's not that hard, and like I said, it's not as complicated as some of the knowledge that some of my friends have when it comes to the movie industry or sports or whatever it is, right? Elevator repair or mechanics. Oh my god, right? Okay, a mechanic manual. I know guys that can fix any fucking thing. You put it in front of them, and they may or may not need a manual, but for the most part, they understood the concept, the engine well enough. They weren't just parts changers, as some of these guys say. They didn't just bolt off a part and put another part on. They fixed problems, and sometimes, right? Anyway, being a mechanic, much more difficult than this, is what I'm saying. The idea is that this is just exercise paperwork. Understand, know your name first off. Do you have a Christian name? Most of you do. That Christian name has 2 parts to it, not 3. So you need to claim that name. Alicia Keys, right? Penis Van Lesbian, George Bush, Barack Obama, Michelle Obama, right? 2 names, right? Oprah Winfrey, 2 names, right? Not 3 names. Okay, so you need to know how that works, and you need to understand that the concept of Joe Blow Smith and Smith Joe B are not the same damn thing. You just assume they're the same thing, but they're not the same thing. Obviously, Joe Blow Smith doesn't sound the same as Smith Joe B. It doesn't even sound the same. Usually what they try to do is in dem sonat, they try to do, it sounds the same. It's not the same, but it sounds the same when it's spoken. So you can't tell the difference between Joe Blow Smith and the title, Joe Blow Smith. And a lot of times in Australia and other places, not here, but in other places, it'll be Joe Blow, and then this will be in caps. Smith will be, the last name will be in caps. On my birthing documents, it's all caps, right? So anyway, and there is a big difference between this Joe Blow. Oops, I'll do this. It's supposed to be lowercase. Let's make it for sure it's lowercase. There you go. And that's lowercase. E. All right. There is a difference between Joe Blow and Joe. I mean, these are all different. These are not the same in law. Simple as that. So you want this. You want to be that 2 names. And you want them to recognize those 2 names because you can say this all day long. My name is Joe Blow. Right? Well, if you walk in the court and you stand up and listen and acknowledge when they say, hey, is Joe Blow Smith in the room? And you say, yes, well, then Joe Blow Smith is in the room. Right? But if you say, nope, my name is Joe, and I did this in court, and the judge asked me, I have a very, very easy to pronounce common American last name, and the judge asked me to pronounce it. That's how I knew I wasn't, right? And I did because he was doing what I wanted him to do, which was dissolve a restraining order, which was based completely on perjury and lies and bullshit. And anyway, but the idea is so I could see that he was going to dissolve it. So am I going to sit here and fuck around with trying to get him to, right? No, just let him do his job. And what his job was, and what I wanted was for him to dissolve it with prejudice, can't be brought again because it was complete bullshit. And he did it for me. If I had been sitting over here arguing about my name, I wouldn't have got the thing dissolved. Simple as that. So, learn to pick your battles and learn to win the thing. But the idea is that if you understand that this really is a straw man, this really is a thing that you represent, right? Joe Blow represents this. Joe Blow represents that too. Joe Blow represents this also. And at least this is the creditor, right? But anyway, you represent all these things. You are not these things, right? When they show a driver's license or something like that, is that you? No, it's not you. That's your driver's license, right? Is that you? No, that's a picture of you. It's not a fucking joke. That's the case, right? Words, they mean things. So you need to be able to get this name in that form, right? The Christ Jesus, right? No one comes unto the Father except through in the name of Christ, right? The name of Christ, Christ Jesus, right? That book doesn't say what you think it says. It tells you how to get, because it's the same fucking guys. And by the way, are you enjoying reenacting the Passover? Because this is what's happening right now. We're all reenacting the Passover in real time, in real life. But anyway, the idea is that Joe Blow needs to make some claims. Joe Blow needs to claim that driver's license and know how. Joe Blow needs to claim the marriage license and the really, you had a license to get married, slave. Mortgages, licenses, whatever you've got, whatever freaking things you got to claim those. Because guess what? All those licenses comes with bonds. If it has a license, there's a bond that's associated with it. You may or may, just because you don't know about it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. All right. I've said enough. I hope this isn't too confusing. Go and again, like I said, it's beyond my pay grade to start telling you what kind of forms and who to send them to and so forth. And I was looking forward to having a nice conversation with a lady at the IRS, which is, if you would have noticed at the beginning of this, because I have the IRS wanting to help me. They're asking me for more information and to resubmit forms and so forth so that they can do their job. And like I said, this is the honey badger. Right? This is right. And there's another. See, this is the other thing you guys need to understand. I was just going to quit and I'll tell one more thing. Department of the Treasury. All right. Treasury Department. Those are two different things. The Department of the Treasury and the Treasury Department. We use them interchangeably, but those are two different things. Right? The Department of the Treasury, IRS, is what this says on their letterhead. If you look at it, it says Department of the Treasury, Internal Revenue Service. It doesn't say United States Department of the Treasury, does it? Because it's not the United States, it's a private corporation. That's another thing I proved. I showed them that, hey, you're a private corporation. We have to have a contract, and I don't want a contract with you. Anyway, but the Department of the Treasury, Internal Revenue Service, is not the same thing as the Treasury Department, Internal Revenue Service. Their CID is criminal investigation. Their CID is contractors investigation. As again, they're building a case. So they do contracting and they have contracting bonds and so forth. So sometimes they're fraudulent with this, sometimes, all the time. They're fraudulent with this. And you need to stick honey badger on them and see the private corporation will come over here to this corporation because this corporation I see I have this in the wrong order. This is actually over that. This is the de jure. This is the United States. This is the United States of America with the Constitution for the United States. This is the United States Corporation with the Constitution of the United States. See, they got us all fucked. We don't even know. And see, that was all crazy talk, conspiracy theory, but now you can prove it. Right now, see, the internet, I think Rockefeller said it best. Maybe we shouldn't have given them the internet because now we can talk to each other. And see, here's the best part. If I'm full of shit, great. Show me how I'm full of shit. Let's have a conversation about it, right? Entertain these thoughts. And if I'm not correct, let's figure out who's correct. Let's go figure out the document. Okay, so this is what's happened. People have figured out, and some people figured out the hard way and fucking went to jail for you, right? Because they were of the the type of people that throw shit against the wall and see what sticks, right? They hate that. So some of those people, like I said, and especially if you didn't know that you were a trustee and you were trying to tap the beneficiary stuff, even though it's your name, but you don't own it, you're fucked. You're fucked. You were breaching trust law and you didn't even know it. Right? That's how those guys, right? So you need to get to be the owner. So once you get to be the owner, they're not throwing the owner in jail. Right? They'll definitely throw authorized representatives and trustees in jail, but they're not throwing the owner in jail. They're not throwing the beneficiary in jail if you're the beneficiary. But you can't prove you're the beneficiary and you look like you're the trustee because you've got all these fucking forms that you filled out that have adhesion on them that says you're the trustee. that says you're the U.S. person, that says you're the U.S. citizen, well, then fuck you. You're going to jail because you're under their jurisdiction. Your status is them controlling you. They have control over you because you're from going back from birth. You have a document, a birth certificate that fucking pledges you to the bankers, right? And those pledging contracts, that conquest, ooh, there's all man, dude. Under conquest, like prima nocta, bro, they own your wife and children, right? If you're a man listening to this, and you have this, right? They have right to your wife and children. You are a conquered person. So get them out from underneath the whore of Babylon. Simple as that. The book that tells you how to get out from underneath the whore of Babylon is the same book. Right? It was the same whore. It's the same whore that's been doing things. And this was rewritten by King James, and he did not, he was naughty when he wrote this. He took the God out of the Bible. Right? He took the Lord out. Right? They write Lord in all caps. Right? That's how they write Lord. That's a capital L that's even bigger than the other ones and so forth. If you look at it, let's look at, and I can prove that to you. Well, you can prove it just by picking up a Bible. Even on the internet, it's written that way. Let's look at, anywhere in here. And I don't have my magnifying glass and so forth, but what I go with 622 is probably going to be good, or just 22 or 5. The Genesis I'm talking about here. But anyway, if you look in this book, take a look at how they write this and how they write Lord in the book. Anyway, and take a look at the different books that talk about Jesus Christ and Christ Jesus. There's a difference, as I just explained, even with that guy. And that guy was the guy that came to try to tell you, this is the story to try to tell you how to get out from the whore of Babylon. Using the information there, and then there's paperwork to be done. Like I said, there's no way out of this. I was hoping that there was going to be some loophole or something like that, but there ain't no loophole. There's paperwork that you have to do. All right, so understand that you want to get back to these guys. You want to get back to the Treasury Department. You want to get back to the Secretary, the State Secretary, not the Secretary of State. You want to get to the anytime you see those ofs, right? There's a huge difference. Even this. I'll just use my state. That doesn't say what you think it says. That is not the same thing. Oops, yeah, I didn't even do it right. That doesn't even sound right to most people. All right, Hawaii State, State of Hawaii. Do you see this is missing? First off, see that little huge Romney State, right? Go watch War Castles, damn it. But there is a difference between State of Hawaii and Hawaii State. Simple as that. It's not a joke. Or California State University, as opposed to the state of California. Colorado State University, as opposed to, or just Colorado State, as opposed to the state of Colorado. Huge difference. All right. Learn what the words mean. Be good to each other. We're doing Passover. Expect, can't prove it. We'll see. We'll see if I'm right or wrong. But expect on April Fool's thing to go dark for 10 days. And then on the 11th, we come out of that. And then the 12th, and then it'll be, and so here are it's going to be 410. Just so happens that's Donald J. Let's see, 2020. And then there's going to be 411, 2020. Oops, 2020. And then there's going to be 412. This is Easter Sunday right here, 2020. And then lo and behold, 413, 2020. And this is when we supposedly hit the jackpot. Because if you do the gematria there, 4, 1 and 3 is 4, 2 and 2 is 4, you get 4, 4, 4 there. And then you get the 12 when you add them all up, and then you get the 3, which brings you back to their sacred triangle and such. Anyway, gematria, to teach yourselves in gematria. But the idea is the dates mean everything to them. The words mean everything to them. And it's all coming to pass. And see, it's no fair, because if it was actual prophecy, that'd be one thing. But what they're doing is fulfilling the book by fulfilling the book, right? They read the book and then they make things happen in the real world, right? The locusts, how do they do that? They got it to rain in Africa. Fire, how do they do that? They use, it looks very clear to me that they used energy, particle beams, weapons, space weapons that us ignorant people don't understand, because we've never seen weapons like that. But when you see a car catch fire and the rims melt, and then right over there is a tree, something happened that you don't understand, because the tree should have caught fire. Forest fires don't cause cars to combust and melt. And you can see, I've seen, if you go search that stuff in California and in Australia, there is all manner of stuff that should make you go, what the hell am I looking at? Anyway, so they're making like 20% of the fire of the forests in Australia burn to the ground. 20%. That's going to be great going forward. It's all going to rejuvenate and be awesome. But for right now, it's right, because I mean, when that volcano went off in Washington State, suddenly the name's escaping me. I can even say Mount St. Helens. They were concerned that was going to be terrible and it was going to be over and devastation forever. It's already come back. It's already coming back, right? The trees come up and the animals have got back. But for a while there, yes, it was complete devastation. Anyway, the idea is that in Australia, 20% burned. That's kind of biblical. The locust swarms, those are kind of biblical. The fact that everybody's staying in the house around the world, kind of biblical. We're reenacting their play, whether we want to reenact their play or not. So play along, but don't play along in ignorance, and then understand that you're about to be given a choice, and you need to get out from under the horde of Babylon, because it's being a U.S. person has all manner of benefits. You get Social Security, and you get the illusion of voting, and all manner of fun stuff to be when you're in the U.S. citizenship. But what you want is to be your own boss, right? Because, like I said, whether it's the satanic pedophiles or whether it's the alliance, they mean to govern you. They mean to rule you. And I think you're going to find the authoritarians of the alliance to be a much better ruler than the satanic pedophiles, but they still mean to govern you. So if you want out from underneath that and you want to be your own boss, there's paperwork to be done. There's trust to set up. There's stuff to be done. Right? If you want to stay under the umbrella of the that other ship, nobody's telling you not to. But the idea is, and it's scary because you got to be your own man. You're responsible for your own actions. You got it right. And if you fuck up, the penalties are more severe. Right. So the idea is, you need to make some choices coming forward. Right. But again, procedure, all the stuff that I was just talking about. This is procedure. This is the actual procedure down to the forms. Right. So be of good cheer, people. There is big change happening. They got your fellow man to join in the destruction of the Fed. But this is what's going to happen. This is what they're doing. They're changing the financial system right in front of your face. It's so obvious that they're changing the financial system. He said it over and over again. Many other people have prognosticated that this is what's happening, is that the thing cannot continue the way it is. Crack up boom is coming. Big changes are coming in the future here. And the cover that they're using for the mass arrests and the, because there's going to be mass arrests. I'm very, very confident that there's going to be mass arrests. Like, it's going to be crazy. It's going to be freaking crazy. But the cover is the coronavirus. Stay inside. Let us do our jobs. And also keep your kids and tell your friends. It's not a joke. Okay, so if they're so mind washed that it's the only way they can go is coronavirus, fine. Then use the coronavirus motif. But tell them to freaking keep track of their children, especially if they got young children. The vampires are going to be hungry because they're being starved of adrenochrome. So they're going to want children's. So don't let it be yours or anybody you know. And it was obvious. If you can't understand, they put the finder's documents out there. The government was actually driving the fucking white vans that were picking up those kids. They are still going to be looking for kids. So you break this curfew and your kids are out there, your children, kids, there would be kids, because kids, look up kids. It's a baby goat. It's suitable for child sacrifice. But they're going to be looking for kids. They're going to be looking for guys that are outdoors, and they go out and they just don't come back. There are too many people that know this story. So the idea is keep your young children in sight at all times, because the vampires are being starved of their adrenochrome, and now they're going to have to make it themselves. And they know how to do it, right? They do. It's disgusting, but it's not a joke. So the idea is until these guys are actually picked up in custody and behind bars, or you're going to hear they died of coronavirus, or you're going to hear that they committed suicide, or you're going to hear whatever. But until these guys are and some of them are actually going to be tried, where they're going to have some lovely show trials and so forth, military tribunals and so on, because they don't know what's coming. A lot of these guys, honest to God, don't know what's coming either. They think that the plan is working, right? The economy's crashing, the stock market's crashing, all the things that they wanted to do to destroy the economy to try to get rid of Trump seems to be working, but it's not. As simple as that. So anyway, they're going to be looking for children. They're going to be looking for food because they're pedivores. Some of them are actual pedivores. And I'm saying the percentage of you running into one is so infinitesimally small, but make it zero. And it's zero if your children are in the house where you can see them. Simple as that. So don't let them out in the parks. Don't let them out in the rent. Don't let them out on spring break. Don't let them. Right? Okay, by the time the spring break in, they're too old. They don't like after they've gone through puberty, it's spoiled apparently. But the young kids, the young children, yeah, they're not. It's not a joke. These people were eating children. These people were. I mean, it's just so fucking disgusting. I don't have words for it. And they were doing worse than that because they had to traumatize them hugely in order to get the DMT and the adrenaline and all the other cocktail of chemicals that only we can produce into the blood. And then at the right moment, they extract it, and then they drink that, or they bathe in that, or they eat that. And then they have crazy psychedelic experiences and crazy experiences that you and I can only imagine that they didn't see. We can't imagine it, and we don't have to kill children to make it happen. The idea is that, but these people fucking exist. They absolutely exist. They have always existed. They built huge temples with huge technology. The same temples of Saturn are scattered around, and they've all been demolished because this ain't the first time that they've been thrown down. And they're going to be thrown down, and then they're going to be, and then you guys are going to do the elephant thing where you don't throw down all their minions, and you don't you only take out the top guys. And a few centuries from now, they will rise again, just like before. Right? The Lord of the Rings tells you this story actually numerous times. There's always going to be a Dark Lord. There would be somebody to replace them. You throw them down, they go underground, and now they were just about to show themselves. They were just about to take it over. I mean, we were this fucking close. It's not a joke. Had Hillary gotten in, things would be completely different right now. And nope. And there's a war going on. Like you can see, it should be clear that there's a war going on. All right, I've gone on long enough. But the idea is that it's happening, guys. It's freaking happening. I hope you enjoy it. I'm probably going to delete this video. But the idea is that, I mean, I'll delete it myself. And the algorithms would change. So again, you can have your friends, just have them look up military tribunals, 911 Truth, Wiener's laptop. I can't remember all the things that are on that list, but I mean, there's a bunch of stuff that Google wouldn't have shown your friends up until quite recently. We got rid of the guys that are in charge of Google, but see, it wasn't just them. There's a whole lot of code that needs to change and a lot of algorithms that need to change so your friends can look up some of these things that have made the rest of us look crazy. But because when they looked it up, they got all the first things they got buried, first 20 pages or whatever was the mainstream media or the mainstream bullshit that made it sound like conspiracy theory and there's no satanic pedophiles. That's crazy talk. Nobody worships Lucifer. The Vatican doesn't control anything. It's just a nice old man. The Queen of England, she doesn't do anything either. She's just a nice old woman. This whole story about the city of Rome, right? The Vatican and the city of London and Washington, D.C., that's complete poppycock. You're a straw man. That's complete nonsense. It's the same thing. I mean, come on. What doesn't matter which one. And there is actually some truth to that statement. Whatever the name is, is right. It doesn't matter the form of the name so much. But you need to understand that one is related to a corporation, one is a title, one is your name, etc. And so, whether it's, I was ending. Whether it's the 3-person name in all caps or in title case, it's still the wrong, right? You got to go with 2. Like your Christian name. All the Midwesterners, right? Mary Ellen, right? Sally Sue, up until I was like 5 years old, I didn't know that I had 2 names. I was always called by 2 names. I wasn't called, and anytime they put the 3rd name on there, I knew I was in serious shit trouble. But I didn't know that my name wasn't, all right? My son, actually both of my sons, they only hear their Christian names. That's the only thing they ever hear, right? I don't just call them by their first name, right? I call them by their first and second name because it's hugely important, my friends. I can't stress to you how important it is. to get into these habits, because what they do is they change our language for us and get us to hang ourselves with our own words and our own ignorance and our own understanding or misunderstanding of how things work. And they deceive, and then they defraud, and then they extract wealth. All right, Crime Stoppers, educate self, educate others, get your friends. I mean, they're going to have time. Many of them are going to have time. So while they have time, get them to look up various things on the internet, because they will be shown now. It was all hidden, but it's being revealed, right? That whole thing with Q talking about the truth being revealed and so forth. Well, not every topic, but many topics. Pizzagate is real. Like I said, 911 truth, stuff about Kennedy now, there's all manner. Tell you what, I'll just read it to you. Let me find it. One fast one. And you guys can take notes, and then I'm going to quit. Gotta quit. I got friends mad at me for correcting them on. All right, let's see here. Is it there? It's not there. It's not there. What did I do with it? Oh, I know where it is. It's in a folder I call virus. There it is. What do you know? First thing. All right, so search Wiener laptop, 911 truth, military tribunals, Podesta art. They're very good. Podesta's art. Oh my God, that should be a clue. Adrenochrome itself. I was just talking about adrenochrome. Spirit cooking. Project Mockingbird would be a good thing to look up. Greatest president ever. I don't know about that. Let's see. Also click on the images tab a lot of times for a lot of these different things. Don't just do the things. Go back to the images tab. Bill Gates eugenics, and there's another one, Bill Gates, right? 2 names. Clinton Foundation and child trafficking. There's a good one to look up. Democrat versus Republican. Democrat KKK. Democrat Antifa. Democrat racism. Majestic 12. Ooh, there's one to look up. Apparently they've taken some of the algorithms off on that one. Majestic 12, good one. Bilderberg. Most people don't have a clue and just think, it's just some guys in the room talking, right? Pizzagate truth. Who are the Illuminati? And there's a bunch more, but there's more than enough to get started right there, because most of all of that is considered crazy conspiracy theory. So get your friends to look that stuff up, and they'll find it for themselves to do their own research. Okay, 100th monkey. Right? And this is what we need. We need 100. We need that 100th monkey. We're getting there. The consciousness, and something does happen. Whether that story is true or not, the concept of it has been proved using rats and using other laboratory experiments. That something. The bottom line is, the more people that know something, the more people that know something. Simple as that. So get your friends to know something, and we come through this thing smelling like roses. I promise. On the other side, it's going to be so much better. But we got a little bumps to go over. So e pluribus unum, folks. Stick together. Try to comfort your friends. Have a good time. Be of good cheer. We've been laughing and joking around here, but I got to go. And I got to talk to you guys later. I'll talk to you soon. So e pluribus unum, 100 monkey out.